this metal can actually be very harmful to children. Times when you're going into these apartments to do lead work, you find mold in the bathroom ceiling or by the kitchen sink. So a lot of what we do is on turnover of apartments, we come in, we renovate the apartment, we get rid of the lead paint. Honestly felt very sad for the children when I saw that they would get lead poisoning. These are all issues that you want to fix before a tenant moves in.
What's going on, everybody? It's Natasha Watkins. We're back again. And as you know, we're continuing the series where we're bringing you information on things that have to do with not just with real estate, but also that affect your home as well. I have with me Kamran from Construction. I can't talk today. What's going on, brother? How's it going today?
Everything is great. Thank you for having us.
Sorry for messing up the business name a little bit, but it just is what it is. But it's a pleasure having you here. If you haven't known that, we did a previous episode on mold and lead, where we talked a little bit about what it is and everything like that. And we wanted to bring you on because part of the whole process is not just identifying mold, lead, and different things like that. It's also understanding how it is to treat that. But before we get into all that stuff, let's learn a little bit about you, how you got started, how the business started, and everything like that.
I'm Kamran from Key Construction. We started this company in order to help landlords, property managers, tenants to remove lead paint and mold issues in their home. I got into this business through property management. I was seeing a lot of homes with lead paint and honestly felt very sad for the children when I saw that they would get lead poisoning. So we decided, let's start a lead abatement firm and be able to solve this problem, get rid of the lead in their homes to protect them from getting lead poisoning.
Okay.
So a lot of what we do is on turnover of apartments, we come in, we renovate the apartment, we get rid of the lead paint, make sure that it's safe for the next family to move in.
So you actually do construction and everything like that as well.
Correct.
And then with these older properties, I'm guessing you eliminate the lead and everything like that. We spoke a little bit about what was it, project
Local
Law 31 as well on the previous episode. So you got to go check that out to understand a little bit about that as well. And I know we offered a free application for them through that company as well, which you do know them. What is lead? Just in a brief explanation, how does that come about and what is it?
So lead is a metal. It used to be used in paint. In the olden days, they thought that it would make the paint stronger and last longer. As time went on, they realized that this metal can actually be very harmful to children. Cause them to have brain issues, development problems. And so they stopped using it in paint. It was banned. But by the time they banned it, it was already used in most residential homes as well as multifamily properties. And now it's become a big issue when peeling paint in apartments and children getting sick.
Yeah, I remember growing up, they was like, don't eat the paint. But little kids, they do what they do in terms of kids. So you guys originally started with paint, with lead, and then moved over to mold?
We kind of started both at the same time. We do lead abatement. We also focus on mold remediation. So a lot of times when you're going into these apartments to do lead work, you find mold in the bathroom ceiling or by the kitchen sink. These are all issues that you want to fix before a tenant moves in.
Definitely. So do you guys focus more on the landlord basis, or do you do the residential as well, or
We
just
do
cover
residential homes in Long Island as well as New York City, 5-borough properties, Queens, Bronx, Brooklyn, Manhattan. We're all over.
So you're all over, definitely. What we wanted to focus in is we're gonna touch a little bit more on mold, but I want to focus in a little bit more about lead. We went in the thing a little bit of identifying it. Can you touch on that a little bit and then go into the process of it that it takes to eliminate the lead from the home?
So typically it's identified with an XRF gun. So similar to how they test gold or silver with one of these X-ray fluorescence devices, they can also test for lead. So really good lead inspection companies provide you with a report of all of the lead paint and exactly where it is in the apartment. So, there's a little map. This is wall A, B, C, and D. And now we can go off of that map and say, hey, here's what we need to do to fix it. So, for example, we find a door frame on the lead report that has lead. and we go in and change the door frame, replace it with a new door frame. Sometimes we have to change the door as well, depending on what areas are testing positive.
Okay. So I'm guessing that not the whole house usually tests positive. Sometimes it's located in different pockets of the home.
Typically before renovating an apartment, we always recommend to do a lead paint test, because not every wall is going to have lead. Not every baseboard is going to have lead, or every door or window frame. So you want to have the test done before you do the renovation. That way, if there is lead paint, you can fix it, number one. And number two, you don't fix more than you need to and spend extra money on something that wasn't necessarily needed to be done.
Have you found that other companies have done that, like where they just do the whole house instead of like localize it? Or is this just part of the process?
So some people like to renovate the entire place regardless, and there's nothing wrong with that. But you should still have the test done beforehand. In a lot of cases, construction team goes in, they start breaking walls. They didn't know there was lead there. And now all of a sudden the whole house is contaminated with lead dust, and that's a real issue.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
We recently had to deal with an insurance claim because the contractors were not licensed for lead. They came in, they started breaking the walls, and next thing you know, there's lead dust throughout the whole home, and their child got lead poisoning.
Oh my God.
So now they call expert team to come in, clean the house, take out all the lead dust.
Yeah.
And then again, you need to start doing the lead abatement the right way.
What does that process look like to actually clean? Because I'm imagining like there's just dust in the air. How do you actually get that out?
Yeah, so we actually use air scrubbers, HEPA vacuums, and other very important devices, like a 2-mop system. And that's actually how you get the lead out of there.
A 2-mop system. Can you explain
of
that
course.
a little bit?
So they use a mopping system where they mop once, they clean it in the bucket, they mop again, they clean it in a different bucket. So that way they make sure that they're not
contaminating.
recontaminating.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. So it's those little things that you want to go to a kind of licensed professional, because the little minute details can play the difference between a successful cleanup. And
the most important thing, besides the cleanup, is the prevention.
Okay.
So when we do lead abatement work, there's plastic everywhere, on all the floors, on all the walls. Any vents, like air vents, are covered up. Doorways are covered up, hallways, because you want to make sure to stop the spread of lead dust. That's the most important thing.
And do you think that's where the difference between you doing it yourself and a professional? Because I wouldn't think of that in terms of the dust being in the air and everything. Like, I think I'd just scraped it off.
The biggest problem is that people go in there with no knowledge of lead, and they just start breaking things. They don't even wear the proper PPE to protect themselves.
Okay.
So you need to wear a mask. You need to cover yourself up.
Yeah.
You want to wear the right suit, so that way you don't bring the lead dust home to your own family.
True.
So it's really important for the workers who are working in these pre-1978 buildings to have a license, to know what they're doing, and to do things the right way.
Yeah.
Or they can cause a myriad of issues, not just for themselves and their personal health, for the inhabitants who are going to be living there next, and as well for the children at their own house.
Yeah. So we've seen like a huge rise with new people jumping into the business of doing fix and flips and everything like that. And they're smaller firms, so for them, they're trying to pull down the cost. But it sounds like they're going to end up with a higher cost eventually anyway if they do it the wrong way.
Right.
Yeah. If we're speaking on cost, what does a service like that typically run? I know it depends.
That's a great question. A lot of people ask, even sometimes before getting a lead inspection, they'll ask us, hey, how much does it cost if I find lead? And, while it is a great question, it's hard to give an answer because it could just be one door frame, and then the cost can be minimal. Okay. It could be the whole apartment that has lead paint, and then there's a lot more garbage that we have to dispose of properly and make sure that we're not contaminating our streets and our neighborhoods.
Got it.
So it really varies based on the extent of lead found in the unit. It can also vary on whether there's a tenant living there or not. So we always like to tell people, if you like to save money, do the lead abatement work while there's no one living there.
Okay.
There's no hoarder, there's no stuff laying around everywhere, there's no tenant to deal with their schedule and their time frame.
Yeah.
So it's a lot easier when the apartment is vacant and a lot less costly.
What does that look like when it's not vacant? Like, let's even take it outside of the realm. Like, if you're just a regular homeowner and you have no place to stay, how do you guys do that process?
Yeah, that's a really great question as well. So At times, you have to actually go in and do it room by room.
Okay.
So, we'll start with this bathroom, seal everything up, do the bathroom, and then clean up at the end of the day. And when we're done, come in the next day, work on the kitchen. Ideally, we would send the tenant to a hotel, or the homeowner would go stay with family or someone else.
Yeah.
You really don't want to have children on site when you're doing lead abatement work.
Got it. Yeah, it sounds very, very dangerous, my friend. Definitely does. No worries. And then just touching base on mold as well. Can we just explain a little bit? We went in through another episode, so check out that episode if you want to get in more detail. But can you explain a little bit about what mold is as well?
Yeah, so mold is a fungus that grows due to moisture, water leaks, water damage that's untreated for a while. This is another big thing. People don't know that your insurance may cover mold damage as well if it came from a leak. Recently we had a case where someone's radiators leaked.
Yeah.
And it leaked onto 4 floors of the property.
Oh my God.
And now Travelers Insurance had to come in and, give a whole breakdown of what needs to be done.
Yeah.
They had to be relocated for a while we go in and change all the floors and change all the sheetrocks.
Yeah.
So it's very important with mold to use the right equipment. HEPA vacuuming, air scrubbers, sealing and containment, just like before. You don't want to go in and use bleach or something just to clean the mold, and next thing you know, you start breathing it in. It can be really harmful, especially to the workers who are doing the work.
Yeah, I'm from the Caribbean, so that's our answer to everything. I remember the old days, Grandma was like, just get some bleach and put it on there and spray it on there. But that's not the right answer, right?
No.
Definitely. And like, how does it spread? Like, if you see a little bit in your bathroom and you're not thinking, can you prevent that little bit from spreading, or yourself, or should you just go directly and get a professional?
Yeah, so when it's under 10 square feet, you can treat it yourself. There's special methods to treat it. For example, spraying it, waiting 15 minutes, and then trying to clean it off.
Yeah.
Having proper ventilation as you're doing that process. But most importantly, protecting yourselves with the right masks.
Yeah.
You don't want to just go in there and start wiping it. The mold will become airborne. It will spread to other walls, and you'll cause more problems down the line. My best recommendation, call a professional. Have someone come in, do it the right way, and don't deal with it again.
Oh, so you could be thinking that you're trying to clean it up yourself and everything like that, and just be spreading it all through the house.
Right.
Definitely. Can you come up with an example or a fun story that happened to you guys at work?
Fun story that happened to us at work in regards to mold.
Or lead, either one. Just an interesting story. I like to touch on those.
Yeah, I mean, every day is an interesting day. There's a lot of interesting stories. Most particularly, I would say, we went to a house where everything seemed renovated, everything seemed fine. And then when we got into the basement, there was a ton of mold in the house. The lady herself never really took it seriously, and she kind of just kept on saying, yeah, it's not a problem. Meanwhile, her eyes were swollen, and she had rashes, and she kept on telling me that her doctor was saying it's just a regular skin problem. When I went into the basement, I was sure that mold was causing her health issues.
Oh, wow.
Because there was mold everywhere. And sure enough, there was a mold team that went in and did an inspection. When we looked over the report, there was mold everywhere. And we had to get our team to go in there and start remediating.
So, like, as a regular consumer or rather a homeowner outside of being a landlord and everything like that, what are some of the health signs that can let you know that you do have an infestation of mold?
Everyone reacts to mold differently. Some people are more allergic than others. For me, when I go on site, I always have to put on a mask. If I don't, my throat starts to get itchy.
Okay.
A lot of people, they get a runny nose. Some people get a cough. And people who are severely allergic to it, they'll actually start to get a rash on their skin. That's where you could start to see some serious health problems with mold.
Definitely. I know we were saying on a previous episode that lead has a specific age in which that it's most detrimental. Is it the same thing to mold, or just mold is just
mold
undiscriminative?
Everybody, it's not really discriminative.
Definitely.
It all depends on the amount of mold that you're inhaling, and if it's there long enough, it could cause memory loss, You could have a lot of serious issues with mold.
Yeah. We see it. We see it in our homes, and we don't take it as actually as serious as you're supposed to. Definitely, no worries. Is there anything that I'm missing that that we need the audience to know about when we talk about lead and mold?
I would say, I've said it a couple of times, but just make sure you're protecting yourself properly with the right protective gear when you're going in to do this work. Definitely consult with a professional before you go in and do anything. It's very easy to get a quote. You can just call and we'll price you right away. It's better to know what you're dealing with rather than just going in there trying to do it yourself, making the problem worse, or even worse, getting sick.
Yeah, definitely. And then when you guys got into the business, what were some of the obstacles that you had in terms of getting into the business and getting started and everything that?
The issues is getting licensed is extremely hard. You have to go to class, you have to get educated, get knowledgeable about this. And of course, with experience, you learn a lot more on how to handle these specific issues.
Got it.
One of the main topics that we focus on is actually removing violations for landlords in New York City. So if the Housing Preservation Department goes into an apartment, they see mold anywhere. It could be any of the ceilings, walls, underneath a sink, underneath a cabinet. They actually have to do specific paperwork and jump through hoops to remove those violations.
Got it.
And that's where we come in with the knowledge, with the expertise to go in and help with a lot of that.
Do you guys actually do the work, or do you just point them in the direction?
So we actually do the work, and then we go in and do any paperwork necessary, signing off, licensing, insurance, all of that.
Okay. What does that process look like, and how much would that cost an individual or even a landlord?
Yeah, the cost varies based on the size of the project.
Got it.
It could be 10 square feet of mold. It could be 50 square feet of mold. So we don't really know until we get there. In addition to that, sometimes you need to remove sheetrock, fix a leak before you fix the mold. But typically the process of doing the paperwork takes about 72 hours, and you can get that done. You need to file with the Department of Environmental Protection before doing mold work. So the city actually wants to know about it before you just go in and start cleaning mold and doing different things. And they also want to know once it's done that it was done properly. And that's why you need a licensed mold assessor as well as a licensed mold remediator to do this type of work.
With both process, what does the follow-up look like? Because, once you've gotten it done, is there times where you may, I know you guys are professionals, but is there times where we may have missed a section either with the mold or the lead? And then what does that follow-up process look like?
Yeah, so the way that it works is before the mold work is actually done, there's an assessment by a mold assessor who then gives a plan on how to remediate. And that plan needs to be followed meticulously. If you don't follow his plan, you may miss something. Of course, we always like to stick to the script and do exactly what the mold assessor says. After the inspection is done, a mold assessor, the same guy, will come back and take a look at your work and make sure that you haven't missed anything. Make sure that you did follow the process completely, do whatever they asked you to do, and they'll only sign off after they've viewed that everything was done correctly. So the city puts this in place to make sure that nobody's cutting corners, that they're doing it the right way, that there's no more mold after it's all said and done.
Yeah, so do you have it it's a whole entire process where the assessor and the remediator, they have to kind of work hand in hand to make sure that everything is done right?
Yeah.
What's one of the success stories? What's one of the things that you've done as a remediator, removing whether it's mold or lead, that just maybe not necessarily brought a tear to your heart, but made you feel very proud of what you've done?
One of the things that made me feel really proud of what we've done is when a child had lead poisoning, the Department of Health came in, landlord was freaking out. I mean, this guy was a nervous wreck. He's asking me, what do I do? And how do I fix this? So we got our team in there. We fixed all of the lead paint. We took care of everything. Of course, left everything clean and immaculate. By the way, after lead abatement work is done, you're supposed to have a company come in and do dust wipe testing to make sure that no lead dust is left behind. So we did the abatement in that property. They came in. The dust was all clean from lead. And then, sure enough, I followed up with the client, and his tenant's child, their blood levels went down. And so hearing, month after month that their blood lead levels were being reduced, it made me feel really proud
Yeah.
and satisfied about the work that we do.
Good for you, man.
You know, to make sure that we're actually solving this problem, A, and
Yeah.
B, you know, preventing them from getting more sick. And
That's
losing their
amazing.
health.
Yeah, it's definitely amazing when you kind of like it, you know, we look at it as a business and everything like that, but it humanizes when you understand that the effect that this has happened on other people's lives and small kids is that. As a dad, I have a 6-year-old myself,
Yeah.
so I want to make sure everything is good. If with that situation, you said that the blood level keeps on reducing, the lead in their blood keeps on reducing. Is there still permanent effects or?
It depends on how high the blood lead levels were
Mm-hmm.
before you went in and solved the problem.
Got it.
You know, if the blood lead levels are above 20, above 30, it can be a serious problem that
Yeah.
may never be resolved. You know,
Yeah.
they might have to go through a lot of treatments
Yeah.
to get that done. And if it's around 5, 4, 3, you
Mm-hmm.
know, eventually you can bring it down to 1 or
Yeah.
0. You feel a lot more comfortable that you can actually resolve this problem. So
Good.
you definitely want to catch it early. Don't wait till the last minute to fix the lead. Definitely, if you're a property owner, management, if you're renting out apartments, get rid of the lead before the tenant moves in.
Mm-hmm.
Because once they move in, it's going to be a lot harder, and it's going to be a lot more likely that they get lead poisoning.
Yeah. And you suggest that they do like, was it like yearly or every 5 years lead test or? Well, you were saying that there's an exemption, correct? I remember what's.
So once an apartment is lead-free, they can get a lead exemption on that unit.
Mm-hmm.
Once it's lead-free, guys, you don't need to test it again and again. So
Got it.
get it lead-free before your tenant moves in, and then don't worry about this anymore.
Got it. As a new homeowner, we do inspection and everything like that. Do you suggest that they go in and just do a lead test anyway, or what do you suggest?
If the property was built before
Or
1978, I recommend them getting it tested so that way you can get things fixed before you move in. If the property is a newer construction, then hey, this doesn't really pertain to you.
Got it.
However, I would suggest getting a mold inspection before you move into a new property.
Awesome.
Because they come in, they check behind the walls, they make sure that there's no leaks in your
Yeah.
home. Even some home inspectors are able to do this for you.
Yeah.
But you definitely want to make sure before you move in that there's no mold in your home, because if there is, hey, get that fixed before you move in.
Definitely. So with the mold as well, do you suggest, is there like every couple of years they should do it, or even if you don't see it, or
If there's
wait
no
for you to
water
see it?
damages or leaks
Mhm.
or problems, if you don't smell anything musky,
Mhm.
I wouldn't say that it's really necessary to do it every year.
Mhm.
But once you start seeing some of those signs pop up, like little black spots on the ceiling, ventilation problems, water damage, leaks, then yeah, you should definitely have it assessed right
Yeah.
away, and then
Okay.
call someone like us to come in and remediate the problem.
Yeah, so it's not mold with the mold. It's not something that you should worry about until you see those telltale signs.
Exactly.
No problem, man. This was amazing. You know, it was a pleasure having you. You guys are very professional in the way that you address, and also the way that you see it from a human perspective. And what you guys have done is just amazing. Thank you so much for being with me today, Cameron.
Thank you so much for having us on your show. And
You're welcome.
of course, that's what it's all about, guys, the human interaction. You know, we're people too. We understand your fears, your concerns, and we're here to solve them and to make you more calm about the issue and to give you the right solution to take care of this.
Awesome. I didn't miss anything. Is there anything you want to leave them with before we head out?
Nothing that I want to leave you with. Just make sure you're taking care of your property. At the end of the day, you need to protect your investment. Not only that, you need to protect your health and the health of your tenants and families.
Awesome. And one final thing, where can they find you? Are you guys on social media?
Yeah, they can find us at Key Construction. We're online. We'll have a website up soon. You can also give us a call. I'm sure you'll post our information.
Of
down in the
course,
comments.
definitely. Thank you so much, brother. It's a pleasure.
Thank you for having us again. It
You're
was
welcome.
really a pleasure speaking to all of you.
Awesome. Thank you. All right, guys. It's Natasha Watkins. I'm out of here. Peace.